Of second day's technical session of Cashew Fest 2024 Season 2. It's a great pleasure to have you all here today. Myself Pranay Naik, Range Forest Officer JFDC. It's my absolute pleasure to extend a heartily welcome to each one of you present here for today's technical session. The topic of this session is restoring back the glory days of cashew processing in the state of Goa and reviving the cashew processing industry in Goa. Topic aims to bring to light the various aspects associated with this topic, thereby speaking thoughtful discussions and stimulating new ideas. We are fortunate to have us today some distinguished speakers who are noted figures in cashew processing industry. Each one of them brings invaluable expertise and insight that will indeed make our exploration of the session topic a fruitful and enriching experience. Now I would like to introduce the panelists for the first session, this session. We have with us moderator of this session, Sri Siddharth Zate sir, a partner of Cashew, Zate Cashews. Siddharth sir is a mechanical engineer and has done masters in business management. He is also into a family business of cashew processing and is representing the fourth generation of Zate Group of Industries. His vision is to globalize the Goan flavor the organic way. He is also involved in Zate social responsibilities, that is Narayan Zate College of Commerce, Narayan Zate School for Special Children, Hirabai Zate Eye Hospital, Village Adaptation for Diabetes Control, and Home for Seniors. We welcome you, sir. I request Deepti to formally welcome Sri Siddharth Zate sir to this session. Next, we have with us Dr. Abdul Razak. Dr. Abdul Razak currently serves as faculty at the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India in Ahmedabad. Prior to this, he held the position of assistant professor at VIT Business School, that is Vellore Institute of Technology, and the School of Business, SR University. His professional journey includes a role as a management consultant at Starlight Capital, where he organized New York private equity forums for entrepreneurs and investors in the United States. Dr. Razak also contributed as an associate professor at SITS and as a faculty member in the Central University of Karnataka, with a diverse career spanning reputable organizations such as Amazon.com, Deloitte, Genpact, First American Corporation, Starlight Capital, and Citations Publishers. He has extensive experience engaging with investors, entrepreneurs, and high-level executives. Dr. Razak is a double qualified UGC NET, MAN GRF and SRF and UGC ABSET candidate holding postgraduate diploma in cyber laws, taxation and insurance law and intellectual property rights. His academic and research endeavors encompasses teaching subjects such as entrepreneurship, theory and practice, finance and startups, new venture creations, managing finance and liquidity, business incubation, private equity and venture capitals. We welcome you, sir. I request Yovita to formally welcome Dr. Abdul Razak sir to this session. Our third speaker to the session is Sri Omkar Amar Asolkar. Omkar Asolkar sir is a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Electronics from Goa Engineering College. Sir joined the Goa Civil Services and currently posted as Deputy Director Industries in Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce. We welcome you, sir. I request this team for very welcome, sir. Thank you, sir. Our next panelist is Sri Vaibhav Savekar. Vaibhav sir is electronic and telecommunication engineer and work with leading telecom companies like Reliance and Vodafone. Joined family cashew processing business 8 years back. Currently working as a partner in the firm Sri Shantadurga Cashew Industries, Sanklim, Goa, established in 1992 by his father. Also serves as a proprietor at Savekar Goan Cashews, established in 2021, at Chogam Road, Porvorim, Goa. We welcome you, sir. I request Jovita to formally welcome, sir. Thank you, sir. Another speaker on the panel is Sri Vindesh Shirodkar. He has done Bachelor of Engineering degrees in Computer Science at Goa Engineering College, Farmagudi, and works as a system software developer at Tata Consultancy Services in Mumbai, Budapest, and Hyderabad for 4 years. In 2012, he joined his family business of cashew nut manufacturing and restarted the closed cashew factory in Navelim, Fanaswadi as Jairaj Cashew Industries. Jairaj Cashew Industries are manufacturers of pure Goan origin cashew nuts under the label of Cashew Tree, and their product is available across all the leading stores in Goa. Vindesh is also trained harmonium player and is socially active with Rotary Club of Bicholi. We welcome you, sir. I request this to formally welcome you. Thank you, sir. This session will be a total of 1 hour. Now I hand over the proceedings to the moderator of the session, Sri Siddharth Zati, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We have a very highly qualified panel out here. All are engineers and above. So you know the kind of highly technical stuff that you're going to be hearing soon. First and foremost, I would like to thank Goa Forest Department to give us an opportunity to discuss the issue, which is very, very critical at the moment, where Goa had a history of having a glorious processing era, and it has been decimated over the years, and why and what and how we can go forward. As you know, cashew nut and feni is synonym to the state of Goa because of its deep-rooted history and the innovation. Goa was the gateway of cashew nut into India and to the globe, to the world across. The reason being the edible value of the cashews were invented in Goa. The first international trade that took place in 1928 to USA was from Goa. Goa created feni rug, which is unique to the world and centric to Goa. So Goa gave that additional wonder nut to the world, and now the whole world, including Africa, Vietnam, everybody is been growing cashew. And with the efforts of the government of Goa, both the cashew nut and the cashew feni has got a GI tag. And many more byproducts. I think Hurak is on its way to get a GI tag. So we'll now discuss on the subject is how can we go back to the glorious days. But just before starting the entire session, I'll just give you a small historical background. Most of you must have heard it, but I'll still give a refresh to it. So cashews were brought into Goa by the Portuguese with a single purpose of soil erosion. There was no other value to it because Goa has a lot of ghat, it has a lot of rainfall, and to avoid the soil erosion, that was the main purpose, because cashew tree roots move horizontally, they don't go deep down. That was the main reason it was brought over here. And then Portuguese planted cashew trees in all its colony, right from Brazil, Mombasa, this is African. This all belt Portuguese started planting this cashew tree. But there was no value for the edible nut. So this one gentleman from Goa, he was sent to Mombasa as a prisoner because he's a freedom fighter. And his name is Sri Budu Ragoba Ghadi from Sakri. So this particular person was sent to Mombasa as a prisoner by Portuguese. And there the rule was that you go into the forest, you eat whatever is available, and you come on a one particular day to some department and say, give your attendance. So every week, one day they had to come, that shows that he's alive or he's dead, whatever. So that was the practice they used to have. This person, so there was a lot of cashew trees. So there he cracked that if you break it, there is a nut inside which is edible. So this thing, when he managed to come back to Goa after this, he came and shared it into Goa in the, say, I would say 15th century or whatever. So since then, every household in Goa would crack these nuts in a very conventional manner, where would they say, they burn the entire skin, crack it and eat it. So this was the practice which was happening in the total Goan community, then it spread to the Maharashtra and everything. But cashew plantation by then had already spread to Karnataka and Kerala because it was just 100 years earlier. So this was somewhere in the 17th and 18th century. And if you, we have a lot of documents in which, Shivaji Maharaj and a lot of letters which say that Vajay means something which is sent to the house after marriage, and there it is known की काजू गर कोकम अशी अशी गोष्टी घडलेली म्हणून. So that thing is there in the 18th century that cashew was being part of the generic domestic circle here. So in 1905, that's where the certain families came together and started commercially processing cashew in terms of economic model. That includes my great-grandfather, then Mr. Torne, Shirodkar, Kamath. There are a lot of families who were part of that. So we would sell the cashew in a NW, natural, no peeling, just NW, put it in a gunny bag, and it would be going to Karachi and Bombay. These are only two ports where from 1905 to 1920-25, that commercial trade, very small quantity. Then came in 1926, there was Mr. Torne, a very dynamic leader. He thought, why don't I export this to US when the world didn't know about cashew nut at all. He took a risk, went on, the ship went off, and because it didn't have any technology to preserve it, it got infested by the time it reached the US. The company in the US, United Food Limited, found that this nut is something interesting, and nobody had returned, nobody has seen. So they sent a lady called Josephine Hugas with a team of a company called WEBTV Corporation, which had a technology of packing that cashews and would remain fresh till the time it reaches America for like 1.5 months. They came down, they met my grandfather, they made a tie-up, and the first export was done in 1928. Then the cashew industry started flourishing, exports were booming, then processing went up to Kerala. Kerala started exporting. Almost for 10-15 years, USA was the only market in the world for Indian export. Europe was not. Europe came in much later, near the World War times. And you wouldn't believe, in the 1930s to 40s, Goa was the biggest processor of cashew in the world. There was no processing, anything happened. And then came Kerala, because Kerala had this advantage of huge manpower, and suddenly same time mining activity started in Goa. So a lot of these labor from the cashew industry went on to mining industry, and there slowly the labor issues came, or whatever. But so Goa was part of it, the biggest processor in the world. So then from the 30s, 40s, then the whole decline came. The cashew industry migrated, went on to all other countries. So, and that time, since Goa and Africa had this free trade license, because both are Portuguese colonies, So all the raw cashews from Africa were imported in the 1930s into Goa, processed in Goa, and sold to, that was way back in 30s. Now also now it has gone 20 or 100 times more than what it is. But that time, Goa used to process like 25 to 30,000 tons. Today we aren't even doing 10,000 tons, I think. So that is the issue, and we are very concerned about it because Goa has given, the cashew from Goa has given the whole world everything, and the industry in Goa has been declining. And now actual registered processors in Goa only are 15, and it's just going down. There is no stage of revival. So we'll have a very good discussion that why don't we see Goa's glorious days back again. And for this, we have very intelligent panelists. I would like to call upon first Mr. Vindesh Shirodkar. I would like him to share what are the challenges that cashew processors have today, and why the graph went on going down and down, and where the neighboring states like Maharashtra, Karnataka have profoundly, I mean, exponentially grown, and Goa has gone down. So I request Vindesh to share his views on.
Good morning, everyone. Is working?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's very unfortunate that it's pretty much unthinkable that a state like Goa, with the kind of history we've had with cashew and the local folklore that involves a lot of cashew activities, and the processing scene in Goa has gone down drastically. But you cannot finger point one reason for this. It's a collective of many issues that is at the center of this issue. Is with mechanization, every processor wants to expand a little bit. Sometimes with the elevators and the carrying technology and the lifting technology that is available. So, say if a processor wants to expand his factory and he wants to purchase the land that is just next to his factory, what happens is that the land rates in Goa have gone up drastically for the last 10 years. Now that's a fact. And what happens with cashew industry is that the processing, geographically, the processing of cashew nuts has always happened on the border areas of Goa, like the talukas incurred in the further land acquisition and the mechanization. If you equate this cost by the cost of purchase of land and starting a new unit altogether, that pretty much evens out. So this is one of the main factors. I think a lot of factories, if you see the amount of factories we have just across the border, then you'll be surprised. I think there are almost 20-25 processing units in the adjoining Dodamarg area itself. The second reason that I feel is the government incentives that we used to have in Goa before for food processing facility, which is and the government incentives that, I'll just take Maharashtra as a case in point. Okay, if you see the government, the aggressive incentives that government of Maharashtra has given for agri-tech or agri-processing, and the consistency of the policies. Yes, now that helps a lot. They have subsidies for initial investment in plant and machinery. Your power tariffs get offset. There is a facility for solar electricity generation. If you want to do it in your plant, then the costs are offset and adjusted. There are and there is a subsidy for sale tax, and they have been pretty much consistent with it. I'll just give an example of sale tax subsidy. We had VAT earlier, right? So Maharashtra government had this scheme that time that if you produce in Maharashtra and sell in Maharashtra, and I'll come to this point later because Mumbai becomes a big market for cashew nuts. If you produce in Maharashtra and you sell in Maharashtra, then the 5% VAT that is incurred on the sales, I think 3.5 to 3.75. I might be wrong, yes, it does, right? They used to get this was during VAT. During VAT, 3.5 to 3.75 was reimbursed to the processor. That is, if you produce in Maharashtra and sell in Maharashtra. And this is what I mean by the consistency of policy. Then GST came. So in GST, the provision now is that the 2.5% SGST component that goes to the state is reimbursed to the processor. And as recently as 2 months ago, I'm not quite sure if it was because of elections, but they have declared that the entire 5% will be reimbursed to the processor. So if you produce in Maharashtra and sell in Maharashtra, the entire 5% will be reimbursed to the producer. So this is the consistent policy making sometimes in agri-tech that the neighboring states have also invested in becomes another reason why a lot of industries have shifted there. Coming to the market point, now this is what happens in Maharashtra. If you sell it in Mumbai, and Mumbai becomes a big market, we all sell in Mumbai. You get good premium rate for your premium cashew that you produce in Goa in Mumbai. Compare this with the kind of market that we have in Goa for Goa origin cashew nuts. One look at the coastline of Vagator, Kalangut and all these areas and you'll see cashew nuts being stored in 10 kg bags. It's baffling how a product of this heritage to us can be stored, processed. Now that cashew nut is processed, transported and sold unhygienically. Because cashew nuts is an entity, it's called dry fruit for a reason. We take the moisture out, it needs airtight packing. When you sell it in loose, it's ironic that yesterday for the event at our stall, we had one customer who came from the neighboring sites of Sangad and even Udupi. Sometimes they come in buses. I think that even the GST is not paid on that material. And a lot of the retailers are also out from outside Goa, so they are after the margin. So I, for one, do not have enough market for my own produce in Goa. So when you have the neighboring state who are giving you incentive and they have the ready market, Goa also has a ready market, but stricter policies have to be adopted to weed out this kind of activities where a lot of material is coming and a lot of factories have mushroomed out in Sangad and all these areas because they know that, if they can sell their produce, they're just one hill down to sell their produce in Goa. And that has also contributed to a lot. So it's not that Goa doesn't have market for our produce, but the fact is no Goan processor currently is keen to sell in Goan market because there is no rate, there is not a lot of traction. The people don't want our product because it's expensive. If we are paying 120, 125 rupees for the raw material of Goan cashew.
Not exactly.
And no, I'm just pointing out some of the issues. There might be discussion, but sometimes as a Goan processor, the market here we are found wanted when we go to sell or produce in the market because Goan cashew can get better rates outside Goa. That's what is happening. And the incentive for us is not there. If you're producing in Goa from the government side, that's what I'm saying. If you produce it in Maharashtra, then sun-dry it and carry it over 12 months. So the inventory that a processor carries is for 12 months. So it has to fetch a certain rate in the market, especially Goan processing done the Goan way. And Goan cashew nut has a lot of potential. We have been in this business for last 30 years now. And we know the kind of potential Goan nut can fetch in the international market also, if it's marketed well. But sadly, even after having all these things at our hands, we are struggling and the gap is just widening. So it's a good effort by Goa government and the forest department to have this event consistently for 2 years now. Hopefully it helps us address these issues because, thank you.
I just after the question, we'll take the question later after the session is over. What is your thought on the compliance and the APMC that Goa processors face in comparison to the rest of the country?
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody in the audience will be aware that the compliance cost in Goa pretty much are higher here, if they are unlucky, that is. So that is why even labor cost. The labor cost in Goa is almost, I think, at par with the country. But are the neighboring processing units even following this minimum wage laws? Labor is almost paid. Well, I don't want to quote anything, but it's almost 50% of what we are paying. So the labor costs are low. The compliances are almost non-existent. We have 1% APMC that we have to pay on the material, and any material that comes outside Goa also we have to pay 1% material. So just one simple, you don't need a huge economic equation for this. Imagine a producer from Sangad. I think Sangad is in Karnataka. You get material, imported material at Mangalore, suppose from an African nation, just for say, just an example, say, let's say Tanzania. You get a 25-ton material. You don't have to pay one, because I think after the national farm laws that have been enacted, there has to be an even playing field for every agri processor, is what we feel across India. Now, they don't have to pay 1%, so they just get it on, suppose 110 rupees a kg, okay? Things, if this material comes without GST paid in buses and, however they come it, I don't know, maybe even in fodder trucks, and they come in Goan markets and the GST is not paid in that, then there's another 5% disadvantage. So, before our raw material goes for processing, we are at a 6% loss, right? We are at a 6% disadvantage is what I'll say. So this is how it works, and then add labor cost to it, then the compliance cost to it. Goa is a very, we are a very unique case, as Siddharth Bhai has mentioned, that we have been in this industry for the last 100 years. We have done this for the last 100 years. So, our factories are also in village areas. A lot of ladies who come to our work, they're almost like family. And there is this culture that, our timings are also flexible. And, we make sure that the idea is always to inculcate the already existing labor in your factory on a new job, rather than hire people from outside. And all these things are badly affected when this kind of things happen. So yeah, even on the APMC part of things, people can think about it. The Goan produce, if at all the APMC can be waived off, then it helps everybody.
Processors from other states, and and there are a lot of ways the government initiatives can help us, to leverage, like whatever. I mean, APMC refund can be given to the Goan processors who are processing in Goa, or you could. I mean, there are so many things. There are ways out of it. It's only that we should look forward and find a solution to it. So our next panelist is another dynamic person. He is also a good technical background person, and he's come and joined his family business after working in the corporate world. So my question to him would be, since I would say Goa has the highest density in the world, where you have retail outlets selling cashews. With per square meter amount of retail outlets in Goa is highest in the world. So if you have a market which is in your backyard, why is the Goan processors are not just able to capture it there? The whole other India is doing it. So I request Mr. Savekar to highlight his experience and his points on the challenges with the processors and this market.
Good morning. Vindesh mentioned some good points. I would like to add just one more point to that. Now, the main problem that we face as cashew processors is working capital. Goan cashew nuts, raw cashews are available for only 2 to 3 months. So we have to take loan from the bank and we have to store the cashew nut for 2-3 months and then process it for the whole year. So the amount of interest that we pay to the bank is huge. That is the main thing. Now if you go to neighboring state, if you see, I think all the processors in Goa, nobody has market in Baga and Kolungur. Whatever we are selling are in the city, Panjim and Vasco, Madgaon, those areas only. So these two problems I think should be addressed.
So as you just mentioned, when we have the biggest consumer market in Goa, when we see openly in front of our eyes that traders are buying non-Goan kernels, selling it as Goa, spoiling the brand of Goa, when Goa has organically grown as a big consumer market, and it is organic, nobody has done anything. It is just that it's the beauty of the nut, it tastes good, the customer liked it, people got in. Now the whole world is here selling their own thing, but Goan processors are not getting the chance. So this is a big challenge. I think we should really seriously work on this. And I would ask Mr. Savekar, what is in his opinion could be a solution in this, in terms of asking these traders to promote Goan processors.
One good thing that government has done is the implementation of GI. We have to take some serious action, and some firm laws has to be formed so that people don't sell these imported cashews in the name of Goa, because it is affecting the reputation of Goan cashew. Now what a trader does, he sells all imported cashews, he writes the name as Goan cashew. Now if the shop is raided and if it is sealed, he'll go do a new registration and open a shop somewhere else. So this has to be stopped somehow.
Yeah, thank you, Vaibhav. So basically, he says, if you have the enforcement agencies who put in their agency that work and get all these traders to legitimize their entire business in terms of GST, whatever. See, government itself will get more revenue as a GST form, in terms of FDA registration, in all forms they'll get. So it's a win-win situation for the government of Goa to have the agencies in place, get those people, get the money from them, and also sell Goan cashew. So there is a solution. We should look forward and kind of do a model which we can execute. So since we have understood the major challenges which the processors are having, I would like to request Omkar, who's also an engineer and is part of the Director of Industries, to elaborate on what the industry has been working on to increase the processing capacity of Goan processors.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Omkara Solkar, Deputy Director Industries, on behalf of Directorate of Industries, Trade and Commerce, Government of Goa. I think the cashew industry, what it requires is firstly incentivizing the cultivation of cashew, and secondly adopting all the latest agri-tech and infrastructure. Our department runs various schemes to help grow the industries and MSME sectors in the state of Goa. So currently today I would like to highlight two major schemes of our department, which I feel will be maximum 5 lakhs will be provided for building of office or factory premises for a micro unit, and for a small unit maximum 10 lakhs will be provided. So I think there is quite low participation under this, especially from cashew industry. This is a very generous scheme and any industry can apply for it. But I think cashew industry can take a look at this and take its benefit. And also if you are doing any substantial expansion, so substantial expansion will go on employees, subject to ceiling of rupees 7,000 will be provided per and 10 lakhs per annum per enterprise is the maximum ceiling of the scheme. So a Goan here is defined as any person born in the state of Goa, or he has a 10 years residence certificate or any other document which has been issued 10 years prior to the application of the scheme.
And the employment subsidy, which is the most unique subsidy which is not offered by any of the states which Goa is offering. It is fantastic this. So it has some challenges, as we discussed that he is going to kind of re-look at the scheme. I would also request him, since Goa has the highest minimum wage, this employment scheme is kind of helping us. But I think the ceiling of 10 lakhs has to be increased. So since we want to increase the production, we want the wages to be paid and the ceiling to be more, that it comes more remuneration for the industry. And second thing which I would say is the capital subsidy, which is mainly for the new industry. Since now the machinery, that is what happened was cashew industry for almost 70-80 years did not change. It was the same processing, same boiling, same borma, same cutting, nothing changed. So the drastic change came from 2010 onwards. So, and the kind of machinery that is available now is very high cost. So now our own processors have to invest that kind of money. I think we need the kind of substantial subsidies from the government. Otherwise, it is not competitive for us to compete with any states like Maharashtra, Vietnam, or anybody. So I would suggest you could actually look on this where and come out with some more policies which can help us. Like we talked about APMC refund or something. So we can have a discussion on that. Thank you so much for that. So the last member of the panelists, Professor Abdul Razak, he is highly qualified, and looking at his degree, I was wondering how much of time he must have invested in attaining the knowledge. And we have a right man here in Goa to find out the solutions in the gaps which all our processors and the industry is facing. So I would request him to share his views.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So today I'll be discussing, it's going to be a detailed discussion, but I'll constrain myself. Okay. First, let's understand here based on the panel members' discussion. See, right now I'll tell about the India's situation, what is the cashew nut market, as well as how Vietnam is progressing beyond us. So if you see in India, like we have dropped from 2021 to 22, if you see our exports was $453 million. Now if you see it was dropped down to $356 million. It's 21% decrease when compared with the previous year. And if you see Vietnam, which is now the global leader, like from past 20 years, it's the global leader. And it has increased to 24% and it's $3.6 billion. Now we are talking about competing within ourselves, but when it comes to the international market, we are unable to compete. Once upon a time, like let's take an example, 20 years before, we were the market leader. In the global market, if you see, we were the global leader. But Vietnam from last 20 to 25 years, they are continuously progressing because of the local handmade technology or advancing technology up to whenever there is a requirement. That was one of the major reasons. And the second one is branding themselves. The big brand, like the way they have branded and they exported. Like, let me tell you, let me come up with the solution as well as some of the challenges what even Vietnam today, what they are facing. And you see most of the processing industries in Vietnam, let's take an example, or they are importing from other countries, from Africa they are importing, and more than 70 to 80% of the like raw materials like cashew raw nuts are imported from there. So what we need to do here in the sense, like first thing is, when I had gone through this, all the things, what are the challenges we are facing, and in addition to that, how we can come up with a solution for that one. See, the first thing is we need to diversify our export destinations. Like, for example, right now, what APEDA has done recently, not only we are focusing on US markets, but now European Union, as well as Japan, South Korea, and also not only in that one, like cosmetic industries. Now we need to get into different products apart from this one. In addition to that, value addition and branding required. As Sir was telling, geographical indication. Goa cashew nut should have its own brand image in the market. Like, they are not only facing competition from the local market, but also from the international market. So if we get Goa cashew nuts, if geographical indications, if everything is being done as per the requirement, so tomorrow in the international market, if you get into the international market, Goa cashew nuts will have its own brand image and also its own sales, even the prices are high. And the third one is organic and sustainable farming has to be done. See now the awareness of customers post-COVID, if you see most of the industry, what they have done, like people are very concerned about their health. So as Siddharth sir was telling us, like how almond was recommended by the doctors, in the similar way, cashew nuts, what are the benefits of cashew nuts, taking from whether it's allopathy or Ayurvedic or whether it's general medicine, everyone has to recommend for their health and other things, so that we can increase, like how doctors are recommending in the US. In the similar way in India, we need to progress that one. Otherwise, what is going to happen, if you see the culture, slowly and steadily, now when compared with 2022 to 23, there was a drop down of 21.6% in Indian market, that is export of cashew nuts, and slowly it is going to go down. Even if there are many even if you come up with many policies and measures, if you are not going to take, like, if it is not the push should be not only from the government, even from the producers, even from the market, and also from the general public. What is the benefit apart from, like, we have almonds, we have pistas and other things, how even cashew nuts is going to benefit us, and there should be a continuous research on that one. And if you see other things, the adoption of technology, Vietnam, you see, from last 20 years, even Vietnam now, they are facing problem with the African, because what the African governments are doing right now, previously they were exporting the raw cashew nuts. Now they are even implementing some like constraints not to go ahead with it, like not to export more and more. Why? In the sense, the reason they want to process there itself and sell in the other market. So even last year, if you see, hundreds of units has closed in Vietnam because of this one. Even though they are number one in exporting, and they, if you see, it is compared to India, it is more than like $3.6 billion last year, if you see. So now the thing is, the government support, if you see the government support, we have 4 to 5 central government schemes. I hope you know about that one. One is merchandise exports from India scheme. Like, so what here, whatever the exports you are making, the government is going to subsidize that one. Like, not only that one, and also whatever based on the percentage of value of your exports, they are going to do. And the next one is export promotion capital goods. Whatever the capital goods you are planning to get it from other countries, even for that there is a subsidy for that. And you have duty-free import authorization scheme. Like, take an example, if you want to import the raw materials from other countries, there is a subsidy for that one. And you have interest equalization scheme, that is interest subsidy to exporters on pre and post shipment credit, okay, on various products we do have. So there are 4 major schemes for cashew nuts, where you can even get the subsidy as well as interest free, and as well as for like what do you say, tax benefits out of it. And the major thing what we need to do here, in the sense, like, what are the councils we do have here? One, we have, as you know, that Cashew Export Promotion Council of India. The other one is APEDA is there, and also you have Federation of Indian Export Organization. So now the major thing what we need to do, it's not about the competition between us, it's the competition in the global market. So in order to overcome that one, the first and foremost thing we need to do is branding ourselves. The branding is going to be the first one. The branding, in the sense, as geographical in Goa, the Goa cashew nuts is the best in the world. If we are able to prove that one, and getting the market for us is not going to be a big deal. And the branding and also automation as well as the technology. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer the questions.
Thank you, Professor Razak. You have given a good insight into what can be, solutions for certain improvement for the cashew processing. I mean, like what you have said, we also have to change our mindset. If you look at it, America was the biggest consumer of cashews in the world for 70 odd years, 80, 100 years. Last 3 years, the dynamics have changed, and India has become the biggest consumer of nuts in the world. So when you have a biggest market right here, when almonds, pistachio, walnuts, all of American origin, they come here in India, have a budget of marketing the product of 300 CR annually. They fund all the possible medical conferences. They fund all the dietitians or any nutritionist, their conferences. So they have the various forms of, they have media advertisement. Now if you see, pistachio realize that India is the biggest vegetarian market. So now if you look at the campaign, they are saying each pista has the same amount of proteins which is equivalent to one egg. I mean, so they are coming with the innovative marketing and they are doing it. And they are doing it in our own country and selling produce from America. When cashew is an indigenous product of India, if you go to any doctor, any dietitian, whatever they say, eat dry fruit first, to get almond. Second, one more walnut. I'm surprised when the cashew it has the same nutrients, same kind of properties. They'll never say eat cashews. The first thing they say, cashew khalo mota hoto. That's fat balla. This campaign is systematically done by the other nuts, which they don't realize. So I'm saying, see, we need to cut our loose because cashew, it is a generic product for India. We have to promote that. Why should we have international products being sold in? Because India is the biggest market for that. So I would recommend, see, it's not possible for a cashew industry to have this kind of budget and spend on marketing, awareness, and any kind of thing. I think state government, as you say, GI, create a fund in terms of promotions in all forms, as a nutrition, as a Goa generic, best quality nuts. So you have various other, create a marketing budget for that particular thing. And second is export is going down, which you mentioned. And since we do not have any subsidies, and we buy the most expensive nut, I personally feel, now there is a problem in terms of World Trade Organization where you cannot give benefit to an exporter, which is because they say that the world is a global village. So no central government can give a particular benefit to a particular industry when it's a level playing ground. So, but if we have a scope where a state government can put cashew as a heritage nut or some kind of category and give certain forms of subsidy which is possible and can be doable. So I think if you look forward for having a good export coming from the cashew industry from Goa, we can have a budget in terms of anybody who is doing the export, give him some remuneration apart from the banks, what is there. So I think I'm trying to cover as much as possible. So if anybody in the audience would like to ask questions, yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to a point that Mr. Abdul Razak had mentioned about the exports, even exports in Vietnam. Vietnam is falling short of material. Now, we are talking about Goa Cashew Fest and the Goan nuts. I'll just stick to the Goan nut. To all the members in the audience, see, Goan nut is the best quality cashew nut that we can find, and it's a fact. Okay, the reason that we as an enterprise, even my father started this business, we are second generation, we stick to our guns that we want to process Goan origin cashew nuts, because if brandized the right way, Goan cashew nut can fetch a better return to the processor also. The sweetness content of Goan nut, the creaminess of the nut, even the size, texture, it fetches a good return in the market. But there are some really critical issues that need to be addressed. The first issue has already Mr. Omkar highlighted. 5-6 years with the department to start a subsidy like this, because this subsidy was there in 2012-13. After that it was discontinued, and you can see that is the time from when this industry has started declining here. Now we have been, Rohit and I have been making conscious efforts to have this subsidy restarted, because the reason is, as a state, usually are not in the mainstream of employment sector. They'd be doing odd jobs there. We have factories in areas where there are no bus routes. So for example, the unit that I run in Navelim, we have 2 passenger vehicles that we send in 2-3 villages nearby at the laborers' doorstep, so that they can come, and then there is a drop-off arranged. Now, what happens here is the woman also gets employment, and they are skilled at it. We all know that the Goan cashew processing laborers from the yesteryears are the reason why we have the sustained industry here today. So even with the mechanization, we make sure that those laborers are trained on the new machines that we have. So as a state, what happens is this sector, which is little less on education. Maybe EIDC has taken, now that the employment subsidy scheme is already going. There's just one point, Omkar, that I might like to add and you guys can consider. Now, see, we have all applied for the subsidy now. And as you have pointed out, not many applications have come because obviously there are not a lot of factories and the money is released in the time frame of 2 to 3 months. It did help us. See, what happens is sometimes the subsidy is sanctioned, but to get the actual amount, it takes almost 2 to 3 years. And considering the very fragile nature of the industry, 2 to 3 down years in line, that factory might not be in business in case the subsidy is sanctioned and not given. So this is one, and I think it's pretty much doable because you mentioned that the ceiling is 10 lakhs, but you have hardly had any application. So consider that all 15 units, just for argument's sake, apply for all 10 lakhs, is 1.5 CRs overload on the government, which is easily doable considering the magnanimity of the situation that we are facing. Okay, I hope you'd agree with this. From the government of Benin, which is an African nation of the west coast of Africa. Now, what happens here is, the reason I'm mentioning this is not because I think everything that they have done we have to do. I'm just highlighting this example as to how an intent of a government sometimes as a collective can help change the landscape here. Now, see what happens is, we have been exporting a lot of Benin material in India. Benin is considered to be the slightly superior quality raw material of all other African origin cashew nuts that you get here. Now, Benin used to be always in demand from Vietnam, from India, from all the processing hubs for good quality nut, good whiteness. Now, the government there realized that a lot of raw material is just being sold in the raw form now from their country, right? So now what they have done is, last year May, they had the expo was in May. Yes, they came there and they introduced a scheme where the government, they have done huge clusters. I think 2 lakh square meter area worth converted into an industrial cluster. They have given like around 95 pieces of land, and they are inviting investments from across the country because they know people will come there. They have invited people from all across the globe. You can come there, and I think you get a parcel of around 15-20,000 square meter land where you have a processing facility. You have huge silo godowns where an entire 25-ton truck can go inside. There is pallet unloading arranged there. They also have a CNSL plant. Now, what is CNSL for the uninitiated here? The cashew raw seed. When opened, the shell, we extract a sort of oil from it. There are industries that do it, that has application in pharmaceutical, even shipbuilding industry. They have a CNSL plant in-house. So they are inviting these investors, and you know what they did? They stopped exporting all raw material for that year itself. Now, this is anticipation of the highest order. $1 million business in raw cashew selling. They have an idea, they want to execute it, but they are already holding the raw material. Last year, Benin material slowly, steadily came in the market across 12 months. They are holding the material this year also. So this is what happens. I am not saying we have to do clusters here. This might not be applicable to Goa. But small steps like, godowns. If we have new godowns here in Bicholim Sattari area, as Vaibhav has mentioned, we need huge capital. We have to store material for 12 months. It needs a specific form of storing. We have the market yard godowns, but if they are watertight is questionable, and water is something we have to keep away from the raw material storing. So if we can have something like that, the processors can pay the rent for the godowns, and that totally takes care of the upkeep of the godowns, the maintenance charge. So some things like this can be done, but the point I'm trying to drill in is that if at all the idea is so strong and the entire government is after getting it done, then this kind of things are possible. And now a case in point is, or Siddharth had mentioned that even Ivory Coast has stopped. Like this is 4 days back, they are stopping all material, raw material that has to pay. Now, Ivory Coast is one of the biggest producer of raw material. Benin is, I think, 20 times smaller than Ivory Coast, but they are also jumping on the bandwagon. You see the result. Vietnam is short of material. But they are realizing the fact that there is a lot to be gained, not by selling the raw cashew in the raw form, but converting it into a product that employs the people there. And there are other facilities also that they had disclosed, that single window clearance for the exports that they want to do. So they are inviting Indian investors to come there, process, sell it back to India. And it was very detailed presentation that you gave, and you were very impressed by the Vietnam point that you mentioned. The study was just to the point, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vindesh. Anybody in the audience would like to ask any question to the panelists? Please raise your hand.
I am Prakash Velip, Chairman of Adarsh Krishi Society. Just now, our Omkar. You said that there is a subsidy for this soy individual. But what about this cooperative? If I started a cooperative unit in a processing, how long it will be? Will it be same pattern or it will be more?
It's for which subsidy?
I was just now said you talked about that APMC. I am chairman of Goa Agriculture Marketing Board. It's a 1% charge, and your request has come before the board. But board also has to be sustained. See, if you are providing this various infrastructure to our customers, if government gives this 1% market fee reimbursement, we will welcome, and definitely our board can think of. Yes.
So I don't think cooperative societies are barred from applying for the scheme, but I will still look after it definitely. Yeah, so also as Siddharth Zatia said, that 10 lakhs is not a sufficient amount, especially for a medium industry.
I agree what the professor everybody has said, that Goa project take 2 seconds, they stops all these shops. We have noticed. Without what they are doing also illegal. And we can penalize them. But catching is also problem. I think food and drugs, they should be very strict.
So initially the subsidy was initiated to try and help the small players, but definitely we can increase it now. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can answer, Sir Prakash, I think one of his points has just gone under the radar. He has said he is okay to reimburse the APMC provided the Goa government reimburses them. So this is a point that the government officials here can take a note down. So what we at least advocate is the produce that is done in Goa and purchased from a Goan farmer, that can be excused of. If you have to importing it from outside, then maybe that can be level. But that's up for discussion. But if the government is ready to reimburse it, then this will help a lot, sir, because we are losing out on 1%.
And upper limit is 10 lakhs. So after all the applications, I think many people have applied for 5 lakh subsidy. This is what I feel. So if you can increase that cap to 80% or 90%, it will help us.
A good solution.
So it's kept either at 50% or 7,000 rupees. So we can have it up to maybe few more lakhs.
I have 2 questions. So the first question is, will the emergence of AI and robotics affect the cashew industry? And my second question is, does the government initiatives like Swayambhur Goa, Atmanirbhar Bharat and Vocal for Local help the cashew industry?
So regarding Swayambhur Goa question, I think we can reach out in the villages through the Swayambhur Mitra program. What was the first question?
Will the emergence of AI and robotics affect the cashew industry?
See, emergence of AI and any technology will always help your industry in the way your capacity expansions happen. Okay. But there's one critical aspect that you have to remember. With technology, what you can buy, your neighbor or competition will also buy. So sometimes what happens is, the technology is the future. For example, I just mentioned, I think, that we send 2 passenger vehicles in surrounding villages. Earlier we used to get laborers from the same village. Now we have to send passenger vehicles to 2-3 villages. Now 10-15 years down the line, will this kind of labor be available? We are not sure. So emergence of technology, yes, is good for capacity expansion. It will only help the industry. There is nothing. But then we have to have that much raw material available here. The cultivators has to take the lead. You know, we are all for capacity expansion for my enterprise.
When all the cashew trees and all hills are all cut off, I don't think anywhere will improve anywhere in future. Because there are hardly any, now in my own village, Kolwali, I have found out that the complete hill of cashew plantation is gone up for development.
तर हाका प्रॉब्लेम मेन म्हळ्यार काजू असल्यार सगळें चलपाचें न्ही. तर हेजे मेन प्रॉब्लेम काजू, क्लायमेट आनी हे एनिमल्स. काजू ह्यो हे डिक्रीज जावपा कारण कितें, हे तर रूट बोरींग म्हणून ते रोटां लागता. रोटां लागून ते काजू सगळ्यो एक पयलीं 40 वर्सां येताले, आतां 10 वर्सांनी काजू काबार येता. दुसरें एनिमल्स, गोवेरेडे, माकड. गोवेरेडे असले असले हेजे काजूचे रोपे हे झाडां उडयता. अशें करून लोक बेजारले आनी हे काजूचे कल्टिवेशन करपाचें कमी जालां. आनी हेजे मुखार हे अशें जर चालू उरलें जाल्यार इल्लें कमी जायत वतलें. तेका लागून हेजेर रूट बोरींग तो डिजीज आसा पळय तेजेर एक कितें उपाय काडचो. मागीर एनिमल हे आसा पळय
Monkeys.
गोवेरेडे बी जर तर अशें उरलें जाल्यार हे मुखार हे आनी डिक्रीज जातलें. कित्याक हांव म्हाजें सांगता, हांव कंपनीन कामां आशिल्लो तें सोडलें आनी हांव एग्रीकल्चरान आयलो. पूण आज परिस्थिती अशी जाल्या एग्रीकल्चरान येवन आनी त्रासांत पडलो अशें. कित्याक आमी आमचे खेडवळे काजूचें कल्टिवेशन करतात. पूण आज अशें दिसता काजू हितून वचून आनी त्रासांत पडले. तेका लागून हांव अब्दुल सराक रिक्वेस्ट करता, हेजेर कितें तर तुमी हे करचें अशें.
Okay, what actually he's saying is that the upkeep of a cashew tree in Goa has gone a lot more difficult because what happens is they weed out over this year because of a lot of changes in the animals that used to rear in the forest before. That is not happening. A lot of tree felling that is happening, because of which the weed that sits on the seeds, that decreases the yield of the existing trees. So 10-15 years down the line there will be a lot of decline in the that a situation like this exists and we all have to address it. You must have seen that consistently in this session today I have advocated that Goan cashew nut marketed the right way will fetch a good return for the processor. It fetches a good return to the processor, in turn it will fetch a good return to the farmer. But cultivation side of things is something that we have to address. I think the forest department is doing their best. Yesterday there were sessions on cultivation and there are a lot of government schemes too. If Mr. Abdul can elaborate and then yes.
Yeah, hello.
I think I just interrupt for a minute. I think we're running out of time is one part. Second, this is regarding the processing part. So I think the production topic has been taken yesterday and there is a lot of discussion already being done on that. And
one thing I would like to tell, so only one. That is, there is an EDP or like ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agricultural Research. They have recently done on this cashew-based value-added product formulation. So if you could attend that programs, like it's 5 days for exclusively for entrepreneurs or like the farmers. So how you can develop and how you can retain that one, how to increase the yielding capacity. And these all the things are done by ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, that too exclusively Directorate of Cashew Research. So if you could attend, then it will be better. So.
Actually, आज जे सेशन्स आसा आमी 3 दीस लोक म्हणजे फार्मर्सांक अवेअर करपाक लागून 3 दीस डिफरंट सेशन्स दवरलेली आशिल्ली. काल जे सेशन्स आशिल्ली ती काल आमी रिलेटेड टू कल्टिवेशन इश्यूज आनी हाव टू प्रोमोट द कल्टिवेशन, हाव टू इनक्रीज द यील्ड जे ऑफ कॅश्यू आनी जे कितें फार्मर्सांचे इश्यूज जे फेस जाता ते एक्चुअली काल सेशन्स जाली आनी तेचेर बरेचशे डिस्कशन जाले आनी सोल्युशनय काडलेले आसा. सो बरेचशे फार्मर आशिल्ले जेंच्यांनी हे डायरेक्टर ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर हांगा आशिल्ले तेंचे एक्सपर्ट्स आशिल्ले. त्या टायमार हे गोश्टी सगळे डिस्कस जाल्ले आसा आनी तेतून डायरेक्टर ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर जो नेविल आफोन्सो म्हणून आसा तेणी एश्युरन्सूय दिल्ले आसा की आमी प्रत्येक गांवांत वचून आमी अवेरनेस करता आनी आमचे स्कीम म्हणजे तेंचे जे एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंटाचे जे स्किम्स कितें आसा. आतां तूं डॅमेज जाता, गॉर्स म्हणजे जनावरां कडल्यान काजू क्रॉप्स डॅमेज जाता, हे सगळे गोश्टी डिस्कस जाल्ले आसा today we have specially म्हणजे आयचो दीस आसा इट इज फॉर फेणी अँड कॅशू प्रोसेसिंग नट्साचेर आसा. सो कालची सेशन्स जाल्ली आसा. जर तुमकां कितें इशू जर आसा जाल्यार आमी सेपरेटली डिस्कस करया आणि तेचेर कितें सोल्युशन्स आसा ते आय कॅन टेक इट बिफोर दी डायरेक्टर ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर अँड वी वील ट्राय टू सॉर्ट आउट युअर इश्यूज.
माझे एक मातशें दाखयलें तुजेच हेतून आतां आमचे कडेन थोडी झाडां उरल्यान
आमी एक मिनिट आमी
थोडी झाडां उरल्यान ती
पळय वी आर
थोडी झाडां उरल्यान ती आमी के प्रोसेस करून ते आमकां होम इंडस्ट्री कितें तरी आयडिया आहा जाल्यार दाखय आमकां.
आमी कितें करया तुजो कितें प्रॉब्लम आसा आमी वी वील डिस्कस आउटसायड बिकॉज वी आर रनिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ टायम आनी एक सेशन जावपाचें आसा. लोक भायर उरलेले आसा ते जे फेणी सेशनाक जे आयिल्ले आसा ते भायर रावला ऑलरेडी वी आर डिलेड बाय 30 minutes. सो तुमचे कितें इशू आसा ते वी वील डिस्कस आउटसायड प्लीज.
This will be the last question. I think we have already.
सगळ्यांक नमस्कार. हांव बाबलो नाईक. हांव पयलीं एक म्हणजे एग्रीकल्चर आमी आमचे हें आसा आमी हें करतात. आमी थोडे पयलीं प्रोसेसींग करपाचें पयलीं ट्राय केल्ली पूण काही कारणाक लागून काही आमचे थंयसर मायनींग एरिया आशिल्ल्या कारणान सगळे आशिल्ल्या कारणान पयसो अलग येवपाक लागलो लोकांच्या हातीक. सो प्रोसेसींग करपाक काम करपाक अशे कामगार मेळना जाले आनी हें फास्ट हें न्ही इनकम न्ही हें स्लोली इनकम जाणी करून इल्ली इल्ली करून साठोवपाचें हो धंदो. सो हो एक मायनींग इशू आमचे ते एडिशन मेन जालो हें न जावपा खातीर हें वाडपा खातीर आनी अजून मेरेन होच इशू आसा तो सोंपूना. काजू जर वाडटल्यो जाल्यार लोक कितें पळयता की सोंपो पयसो खंयच्यान येतलो पयसो सोंपो खंयच्यान मेळटलो इजी खंयच्यान मेळटलो तें पयलीं पळयतात आनी ह्या धंद्या भितर येवपाक सोदिना कित्याक तितून मार्जीन कमी आसता न्ही. मायनींग मार्जीन चड आशिल्ल्या कारणान हो धंदो करपाक पळयनात. आतां आमच्या सर प्रकाश वेळीप सारके सर तांकां सगळें खबर आसा आमचे ते एडिच्यान सगळे काजू ते घेतात सगळे लोकांच्यो आनी ते तांकां कितले फेस करचे पडटा तेच जाणा. आमी सुद्दां करपाचो प्रयत्न केलो पूण आमकां तें शक्य जाना कित्याक हाका मार्जीन कमी आशिल्ल्या कारणान आनी बाकीचे सगळे हें आशिल्ल्या कारणान ते जावप करपाक शक्य जायना. आतां आमचे कडेन कितें जालां आतां काजूक रेटूय ना. 120 रुपये सुद्दां काय 113 कितें रेट आशिल्ली 113 रुपया रेट आसा. आतां आमी जर पयलीं आमी आतां मशिनां येयल्या लोकांनी काम करपाक. पयलीं हातीन काम करताले सगळे लोक आनी पगार त्या वेळार कमी आशिल्लो. आतां पगार जो आसा तो 700 800 1000 मेरेन लेबर पगार सोदतात. सो अशे वेळार अशें जालां की काजू आमी ज्यो सकाळीं घालतात ते सुद्दां पयशे येनात. आमी जर एक दिसवाड्याक आतां एक हें घालता जाल्यार तो सुद्दां आतां आज पयशे येना. आज 113 रुपये रेटीन जर आमी काज जर विकल्यार आमकां मेळटले कितले 10 अशें करया की 10 किलो आमकां काजू मेळटा दिसाक 1300 रुपये मेळटले. तातूंतलो लेबर गेलो 800 रुपया कितें उरतले तुका. फक्त आमी मेहनत करपाची इतलीच आज परिस्थिती जाली आनी हाका लागून हे सगळो धंदो जो आसा तो कॉलेप्स जाल्लो आसा.
ओके थँक्यू. तुवें बरो मुद्दो काडलेलो आसा अँड दिस एंटायर ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह ऑफ मॅडम अँड गोवा फॉरेस्ट एसोसिएशन टू कंडक्ट दिस इव्हेंट. फर्स्ट सेशन जालो सेकंड इव्हेंट जालो. दिस इज द ओनली स्टेट इन होल ऑफ इंडिया who is actually promoting a cashew. So there is the initiative taken. आणि हेजो फायदो जातलो. खंयचो फायदो फाल्यां एक दिसान जातलो तर टायम दिवंक जाय. आतां नेक्स्ट सेशन फेणीचो सेशन आसा ते आतां पयल्यार फूल हावस आसा. सो देर इज अ ह्यूज पोटेन्शियल फॉर द फेणी इंडस्ट्री टू ग्रो. फाल्यां फार्मर इज गोइंग टू गेट गुड रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम द फ्रूट एज वेल एज द नट विच इज ओनली Goan state farmers are getting. So let's hope that we have a very bright future for the Goan farmers, Goan processors, and all the stakeholders who's part of the cashew industry. And I'd like to thank all the panelists who've given us fantastic inputs. we wish to come out with a good white paper document to represent the state of government of Goa. We are asking not too much. We will be asking only 10 CR with a growth of 100% in the cashew industry in processing. So I hand over the stage to Pranay. Thank you.
It was an honor to have you all on the panel. We know your time is precious and we are immensely grateful you were able to carve out some time with us. Thank you for helping make this technical session a great success. And we look forward to see you at the future events. I request our Managing Director to present a token of memento to our speakers. Firstly, to Siddharth Jate sir. Thank you, sir. I request our GM sir to present a memento to our next panelist, Dr. Abdul Razak sir. Thank you, sir. I request our manager, Updesh Kosambe sir, to present a memento to our next panelist. With this, sir. In this, sir. Thank you, sir. I request our Managing Director, sir, to present a memento to our next panelist.